The Mediterranean Sea is calm this morning, with no storms, no warnings, and no sense of danger. Sunlight dancing on the surface like glass, while beneath that calm steel prepares to disappear. It is 1939. Spain is exhausted after civil war. Its cities broken, its navy rushed and rebuilt too quickly, and yet the sea does not care. It only waits. At the naval base, sailors move with quiet discipline, not heading to war, but only for a routine training dive, controlled and safe, or so they believe, as the submarine S-80, a dark steel cylinder, fills with men squeezing past each other in narrow corridors where metal walls sweat and boots echo softly. Men who know this environment, trust their officers, trust the submarine, and trust the sea, until the hatch seals shut, clamps lock. The outside world disappears. Artificial light replaces the sun. Engines hum, calm orders are spoken, and the submarine moves forward and slowly begins to sink. The descent begins smoothly as depth gauges tick downward. 10 meters, 20, 30, everything normal. Too normal, the way accidents often begin, as ballast tanks flood in a measured way, and the sea closes around the hull while pressure increases but steel holds as it always has, until something feels wrong, not loud or sudden but subtle, a faint trickle of water, at first dismissed as common, valves checked and pumps engaged, yet the trickle becomes a stream. Boots grow wet, expressions change, orders sharpen, and still the water increases as the submarine's balance shifts, the bow dipping almost imperceptibly, but enough for submariners to feel instantly compressed air released to blow ballast that should force the submarine upward. Yet nothing happens. The depth gauge continues falling. 40 meters, 50, training turning into survival as the fight begins. Water reaches ankles, then shins. The air grows colder and heavier, breathing more difficult as men look at each other, not with panic, but questions, wondering why it will not stop, why they are not rising until the captain understands first, recognizing not a single mistake but a chain. Design flaws, misaligned valves, rushed repairs after war, small errors combining into catastrophe, orders changing from training to survival as engines strain against a weight now too great. Lights flicker, reminding everyone electricity depends on time, and time is running out, water reaching knees as some men lift their boots instinctively while others freeze. No shouting yet, because shouting would admit the truth, until the captain gathers the crew and calmly explains they are flooding. Unable to surface, emergency procedures attempted, and if those fail, escape prepared. The word escape landing heavily because it means the submarine has already lost. Men knowing the rules, knowing depth matters, and as the gauge moves, 60 meters, 70, the sea tightens its grip and fear finally arrives, quiet and devastating, as understanding sets in that not everyone will see the surface again. Inside S-80, the submarine no longer sinks fast but settles, worse than falling, as the descent slows and stops not due to control, but proximity to the seabed, the hull groaning as it touches bottom with no crash, only a dull final thud, bringing brief relief that they are no longer falling. But escape now has a deadline as water continues rising, pumps losing, leaks becoming fatal wounds, and the air changing. Warmer, thicker, harder to breathe. As carbon dioxide builds, men yawning without tiredness, eyes burning, balance failing, panic arriving slowly like the water itself. The captain understanding he has minutes at most. Oxygen candles buying time but not salvation. Rescue impossible. And so he gives the order quietly and clearly. Prepare for escape. That sentence changes everything as training takes over. Men moving fast but not running. Hands shaking as escape suits are pulled from lockers. Rubber smells filling the air. Instructions repeated aloud for reassurance. Each man knowing the rules. One by one. Equalize pressure. Trust procedure. But procedures assume calm, and calm is dying as water rises waist-high in compartments, electrical systems failing, lights dimming and brightening erratically, coughing and vomiting beginning as carbon dioxide wins, whispered arguments spreading. Why they did not surface earlier. Why this boat was cleared. until the captain silences them with truth, telling them there is no more time. The crew moves toward the escape hatches, the most haunting moment of the story, because decades later this movement will still be visible. Men clustering in narrow spaces, kneeling, sitting, standing shoulder to shoulder, not scattered but organized, believing they are about to live, one hatch prepared. Pressure valves checked as the sea presses back patiently. A young sailor volunteering to go first, trained and aware of the risks. The compartment deliberately flooded, water rising to chest then neck, breathing becoming impossible as they submerged themselves by choice. Pressure equalization beginning with burning pain in ears and sinuses, hands turning the hatch wheel together slowly against immense pressure until the hatch opens just a little. The moment the seal breaks, the ocean explodes inward with unstoppable force, slamming men backward as the compartment floods instantly. No controlled escape, no orderly ascent, only chaos. Those closest hit first as cold water crushes lungs and pressure collapses chests, disorientation immediate, death fast for some and slower for others. The hatch slamming shut again. By pressure or instinct, it no longer matters. As the attempt fails and silence returns, heavier and permanent, the remaining crew understand there will be no second attempt, no strength, no air, no chance. Some removing helmets while others keep them on as if rules still matter. No messages written because there is no paper, no light, no point. Gathering near the hatches anyway, as close to escape as steel allows. Breathing shallow, vision narrowing, thoughts blurring, carbon dioxide taking control gently like sleep. Consciousness fading one by one, the sea waiting patiently. The last sound inside S-80 not screaming, but water settling, metal cooling, life stopping. For 75 years, the Mediterranean says nothing as ships pass above. Fishermen cast nets. War comes and goes. Nations change. But S-80 does not move. Buried in darkness, becoming part of the seabed. Marine life settling on steel, rust blooming slowly while inside time stops completely. Currents too weak to scatter the crew. No explosions to tear the hull open. The submarine remaining sealed as a perfect underwater tomb. In 2014, technology reaches where memory could not, as sonar reveals an unmistakable cylindrical shape, divers descending into darkness where the submarine emerges. Identification done carefully and respectfully because this is not a wreck but a grave. Serial markings confirming S-80, lost in 1939 and found after 75 years. The hull intact with no battle damage or torpedo holes. Proof the sea did not kill it. Time and failure did. Remote cameras peer inside, revealing darkness untouched since 1939. And a chilling truth. The crew is not in bunks nor scattered randomly, but gathered near the escape hatches. Bodies positioned together, some facing the hatch, some collapsed beside it, some still wearing escape gear. Not postures of surrender, but of attempt. One hatch showing signs of partial movement, enough to doom the compartment, the wreck confirming the story no survivor could tell. They tried to leave, they almost did, but the sea was stronger. There was no cowardice here and no failure of courage, only physics, pressure, and depth, escape procedures that work only within limits. Limits S-80 had passed by being too deep, too flooded, too late, the men doing everything they could, following training, orders, and hope. Hope that led them to the hatches. This is not a war story with enemies, gunfire, or heroic charges, but a story of being trapped, of realizing slowly there is no exit, unlike violent submarine disasters with explosions or implosions. S-80 dies quietly and patiently, terror stretched over minutes and breaths and silent glances. The most haunting image, not the wreck, but the crew waiting by the hatches. Today, S-80 remains where it fell, untouched and undisturbed, recognized as a protected war grave, because some stories should remain where they ended, the sea keeping them now, the same sea they trusted and trained in. But that did not forgive men who did not expect death in training, who died preparing for a future they would never see, whose final moments were quiet decisions made in darkness, to wait, to try, to hope, and when hope failed, to stay together. Beneath the Mediterranean, a submarine rests not as a weapon, but as a warning. That steel can fail, systems can break, but fear leaves fingerprints. And in S-80, those fingerprints remain pressed forever against escape hatches that never open.